Welcome to Lively Lewis Stories.
Buckle up, because you're about to join Levi and Ivy on an adventure.
All you need is your imagination, and off we
go! Lively Lewis Stories!
Hey there, awesome friends.
Guess what?
We're super thrilled to share some exciting news with you.
We've got our very own Lively Lewis merchandise.
Woohoo! Grab your parents and head over to livelylewisshop.com or simply click on the link below in our show notes.
Now, let's dive into today's story.
Mom, Levi won't give me back my journal, screamed Ivy down the hallway. That's not true, Levi yelled back. I needed something to draw my superhero cartoons in, and I grabbed this notebook from the kitchen drawer. It's not your journal. Is too, called back Ivy. Is not, responded Levi. Is too, is not, is too, is not. Hey, I don't care whose journal or comic book notebook it is. I just need the yelling to stop, said Levi and Ivy's mom, trying to stop the fighting. You two have been arguing all week. You need to figure out how to get along, and you need to do it today. You're brother and sister, and you need to realize how important that is. Levi and Ivy just roll their eyes while giving each other icy stares and trying their best to ignore each other. Hey, are you even listening to me? Asked Levi and Ivy's mom. The bond between a brother and sister is very special. I wish you both could see the world from each other's point of view sometimes. Then you would see how the other one feels. Exactly, said Ivy with a smirk. If we could do that, then Levi would see that I'm right and he's wrong. No, you're wrong and I'm right, replied Levi, sticking his tongue out at his sister. That is it, called out Levi and Ivy's mom. I've had enough of this. Levi and Ivy suddenly realized that maybe they had gone too far. What was their mom going to say next? Maybe that they were grounded, or that they had lost TV and video games for the rest of the day? Or that they couldn't have dessert after dinner for the rest of the week? But instead, what she said next really surprised them and made them quite happy. We're going for ice cream. Get in the car now, she said in a frustrated tone. For the first time in weeks, Levi and Ivy agreed on something. Ice cream is great, and they happily jumped in the backseat of their mom's car. As she drove, she told her kids about why she was taking them to get ice cream. Don't think that I'm rewarding your bad behavior, because I'm not, their mom began. But one time when I was having a big fight with my sister, your grandma took us to the ice cream shop down the street from our house. She said, you can't be mad when you're eating ice cream. When we got there, we sat in the ice cream shop for a few minutes, not saying a word to each other. Then as we gobbled up our tasty treats, we couldn't help but feel the anger melt away. We talked out our differences, and before we knew it, we were back at being the best of friends. I just hope it works like that for you two today. Levi and Ivy were only half listening. They were both too busy thinking of what kind of ice cream they were going to have to fully pay attention to their mom. Yeah, sounds good, Mom, said Levi. Nice story, added Ivy as she hopped out of the car once her mom pulled into a spot in the ice cream shop parking lot. Here's some money. I'm going to let the two of you go in and get your ice cream, said their mom. I think you two need a little time alone to work this out yourselves. I'll be doing some shopping next door, and I'll be back in a little while. I hope to find a brother and a sister who truly love and respect each other when I get back. I'll do what I can, said Ivy. But you know Levi. What's that supposed to mean, Ivy? Levi snapped back. You're the one that's so hard to get along with, not me. Oh, no, thought Levi and Ivy's mom. Maybe this plan isn't going to work the way I hoped it would. But with the little hope she had left, she walked Levi and Ivy up to the door of the ice cream shop and headed next door to do some shopping. Levi and Ivy walked into the ice cream shop, which was cold and smelled like marinated cherries and fresh whipped cream. What happened next was certainly not what they were expecting, but it was definitely what they needed. As they stepped further into the ice cream shop, they realized that they were the only ones in there. That is, except for the owner of the shop, Mr. Frost. Pretty fitting name for a guy that runs an ice cream shop, don't you think? As Levi and Ivy waited at the ice cream counter to order, they started to bicker once again. I'm going to have the greatest ice cream flavor ever, announced Levi. Me too, said Ivy. Well, I guess we can agree on one thing. Vanilla fudge swirl is the best ice cream ever, Levi said excitedly. What? Ew, never! Cookie dough crunch is the best ice cream flavor ever, replied Ivy. It was very clear that this ice cream outing wasn't going exactly as their mom had planned. Maybe they just needed a little help from an outside source. Enter the ice cream shop owner, Mr. Frost. Kids, settle down. All my ice cream flavors are the best ever, so there's no need to argue anymore, said Mr. Frost with a big smile on his face. Unless you like arguing with each other, then who am I to stop your good time? Levi and Ivy were a little surprised by Mr. Frost's suggestion that they like to fight with each other. It's not that we like to argue, Levi began. It's just that she's always wrong about stuff and someone needs to correct her. I'm just doing her a favor, really. The only favor you ever did to me was leaving me alone, replied Ivy. Hey, that's not a very nice way to talk to each other, Mr. Frost said. I think what you need is some ice cream. After all, you can't be mad when you're eating ice cream. Hey, my grandmother used to say that, said Ivy. She sounds like a really smart lady, replied Mr. Frost with a smile. So here's a cup of cookie dough crunch for you and a cup of vanilla fudge swirl for you. But he gave the vanilla fudge swirl to Ivy and the cookie dough crunch to Levi. I think you gave us the wrong ice cream flavors, said Ivy, trying to be polite. We'll just switch. Nope, I gave you exactly what you need, said Mr. Frost with a knowing look. I suggest you give those flavors a try. You may find the experience life-changing. Levi and Ivy looked at each other with raised eyebrows. They didn't want to be rude, so they begrudgingly each lifted a spoonful of the ice cream to their mouths, even though they didn't like the flavors they were given. As they tasted the ice cream, they were both surprised at how much they actually liked the flavors, and in a moment, they would find out why. I actually like this, said Ivy, holding up another spoonful of vanilla fudge swirl. Me too, said Levi, taking another bite of cookie dough crunch. But I also feel a little weird. Yeah, me too, said Ivy. Then as they looked in the mirror next to the ice cream counter, they realized something very, very unusual had just happened. What do you guys think happened? They had magically swapped bodies. Levi was Ivy, Ivy was Levi. What was going on, and what were they going to do? Levi, what's happening? Called out Ivy. I don't know, called back Levi. I think I'm you and you're me. Well, that explains why I like vanilla fudge swirl ice cream now, said Ivy. So how's everything going over here? Asked Mr. Frost. How's it going? How's it going? Exclaimed Levi. Well, first of all, your ice cream is incredible. But second, and maybe most important, my sister and I have swapped bodies. How are we going to explain this to our mom when she comes back? Said Ivy. I would say very slowly and calmly, Mr. Frost suggested. Maybe start her off with a waffle cone of maple walnut to ease the tension. No, we're not offering her ice cream. We have to figure out how to get back to the right bodies, said Levi. Oh, well, why didn't you just say that? Laughed Mr. Frost. I know how you can do that. Levi and Ivy, or was it Ivy and Levi, just stared at Mr. Frost with a look of surprise. Why didn't you just say that in the first place? They both yelled. Tell us how to switch back right now. Please? It's easy. You just have to get along, said Mr. Frost as he made himself a banana split. By swapping bodies, you can really experience how the other one feels, how they think, and why they do the things they do. Once you understand each other, respect each other, and become friends again, everything will go back to normal. Levi and Ivy, or was it Ivy and Levi? Well, anyways, they continued to stare at each other, and then they had an idea. They thought of the last thing they thought about. The journal, said Levi. You mean my journal? Said Ivy. Well, actually, I guess I did leave it in the kitchen drawer, and it wasn't marked as my journal, so how would you have known that you shouldn't use it? But it was special to you, and you had been writing in it all week, said Levi. I should have been more thoughtful and just gave it back to you. I can draw my comic book characters anywhere, I guess. Here you go. Then Levi took the journal out of his coat pocket and handed it to Ivy. You brought it with you? Said Ivy. Yeah, I was going to draw on it while we ate ice cream, said Levi, but I know now that it would have made you feel bad, so I'm not going to do that. That's really nice of you. Thank you, said Ivy. But I know now that the drawings you were doing were really special to you, too. I should have been more thoughtful and just shared the journal. Would you like to see what I was working on? Asked Levi. Sure, said Ivy. Levi opened the journal and showed off some really cool drawings, most of which were centered around two superheroes he had created, Lightning Levi and Ivy Girl. Wow, these are great, said Ivy. You drew us as crime-fighting duo. That's really cool. And would you like to see what I was writing about? Asked Ivy. Of course, said Levi. Ivy opened up to a few pages where she had filled with a story she was working on. It was about her and Levi finding a magical forest and having grand adventures with all the wonderful creatures that lived there. Wow, you wrote all these cool stories about us? Asked Levi. Yep, I couldn't imagine going on a big adventure without you by my side, said Ivy with a little smile. I'm sorry, Levi. I'm sorry too, Ivy, said Levi, giving his sister a hug. And as he let go, they felt a strange magic in the air, and once they looked back in the mirror, they saw that they had swapped back. That was some ice cream, said Levi with a giggle. You're telling me, laughed Ivy. Hey, I really am sorry. It was helpful to see things from your point of view. You're a really great big brother, and I'm lucky to be your sister. I feel the same way, Levi started. I am a great big brother, and you are lucky to be my sister. They both began to laugh as he hugged Ivy tight. I'm lucky too, Ivy, and I know it. How about we finish up our ice cream and go get Mom? That sounds like a great idea, said Ivy. Do you want to switch ice cream flavors? Not really. I kind of see why you like cookie dough crunch now, said Levi, taking another bite. I don't want to switch either, added Ivy. Vanilla fudge swirl is really good. Thank you, Mr. Frost, said Levi and Ivy. It was my pleasure, said Mr. Frost as he had finished assembling his banana split. Happy that the ice cream put an end to all your bickering. It really is true. You can't be mad when you're eating ice cream. And a little body swapping magic never hurts either. Have a great day, kids. Levi and Ivy were just walking out the door as their mom was walking in. How did everything go, Mr. Frost? She asked. Just like it did for you and your sister all those years ago, he said with a smile. Excellent. Thank you so much, said Levi and Ivy's mom. And before I go, could I get a waffle cone of maple nut? Sure thing, said Mr. Frost. Now, if I remember correctly, that was always your sister's favorite flavor, right? That's right. And now it's my favorite flavor too, said Levi and Ivy's mom, giving them both a knowing smile as she grabbed her ice cream and followed them out to the car. Want to start a podcast? Spotify has an easy free platform called Spotify for Podcasters. Here's how it works. Record and edit your podcast on your phone or computer with ease. Share your podcast on Spotify and all other major platforms. You can even make video podcasts on Spotify. If you want to engage with your audience more, use Q&A and polls. You can earn money through ads and podcast subscriptions. It's completely free, no hidden cost. Give it a try. Visit www.spotify.com/podcasters to get started. We love making our podcast, and working with Spotify has been amazing. Did you learn a lesson from this story?
If so, what was it?
And parents, do your kids have a story idea?
Leave a comment on our Apple Podcast review page with 5 stars, the idea, and your kid's name for a chance to join Levi and Ivy on their next adventure. Until next time.
Thanks for listening. Come back for more.